One fine day, a priest, a minister, and a rabbi are walking in the woods. And they're talking about their different approaches to conversion and how each approaches conversion. And then they run into a bear in the woods. And they decide they will each try to convert the bear to their faith tradition. So the priest says, I'll go first. And the priest goes to try to convert the bear. And the priest is with the bear for a very, very short time. And he comes back with a big smile on his face. And he reports his progress. I talked to the bear about how beautiful our communion is. And the bear is coming to our early Mass Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. The minister says, let me give it a try. The minister goes to talk to the bear. The minister is with the bear for a very, very short time and comes back with a big smile on his face. He says, I told the bear about our Bible study at the church and how stimulating and wonderful it is. And the bear is coming to Sunday Bible study this Sunday at noon. The rabbi says, let me give it a try. The rabbi goes to try to convert the bear. And the rabbi is there for a very long time. The rabbi is there, he's not coming back. The priest and the minister are wondering what happened to their friend. At long last, the rabbi comes back, and he's bloodied and bruised and bandaged. And his friends say to him, Rabbi, what happened to you and the bear? And the rabbi says, well, in retrospect, maybe it was not the best idea to start with circumcision. Now, this joke is an oldie but goodie, and I want to thank Steve Siegel for the joke. It was in his Pan Mass Challenge communications. Thank you, Steve. I love this joke, although the laugh line is no longer so funny, because the fact is it is hard and sad to care a lot about Israel and to care a lot about the Jewish people. And to fight anti-Semitism is hard and sad. Just one word might take that in this morning. Manchester. Manchester. How do we live in a world with Manchester? But it's not just Manchester. It's 2 years since October 7th. Hard and heavy. And then one day, Shira and I listened to something that was just paradigm changing for me, paradigm shattering for me. Just unlike, we've all heard 1,000 sermons. I've been guilty of giving too many about anti-Semitism. But this was a different take. It came from Mel Robbins, who talks a lot about how to thrive emotionally in a hard time. And Mel Robbins pointed out on this podcast that the world has its sorrows, and that the sorrows of the world make us sad. We internalize the pain of the world. So she asked the question, are there any simple hacks that we can do at home that would change our mood, that would banish our sorrows, that would make us feel hopeful and good and optimistic? And in the podcast, Mel Robbins offers 7 hacks. But one spoke to me most directly, and it concerns what we listen to when we are doing household chores. If you're in the kitchen chopping vegetables, or setting the table, or doing the dishes, or if you are sorting and folding laundry, what do you listen to? So Mel Robbins said that she used to listen to the news. But listening to the news was depressing, and it made her depressed. So she decided she would run an experiment. And instead of listening to sad news that made her sad, she would try listening to happy music to see if it might make her happy. And she decided she would start with Motown. So she started playing Motown, and it worked immediately. Her mood was better and happier and more cheery and more upbeat. She says in the podcast she started dancing while she's chopping vegetables in the kitchen. Simple hack of very big impact. Now this idea spoke to me because I love doing household chores. I love doing the dishes every day, and I especially love sorting and folding laundry, which is my therapy. In fact, send me all your laundry, I'll do it for free. The only thing I ask is that you go to the Gann Chapel for Minyan and that you give to the annual appeal. I'll do your laundry. And as I was doing my laundry and household chores every day since October 7th, I listened to one of 4 podcasts about Israel. Dan Signor, Call Me Back, The Times of Israel, the podcast from the Shalom Hartman Institute, For Heaven's Sake, and Honestly with Barry Weiss. Now, if you've listened to those podcasts in the 2 years since October 7th, you know they are excellent and thoughtful and up to date, and they bring the best speakers and the most current ideas, and I really felt like I knew what was happening. There's only one problem with these podcasts, which is they're so depressing. You listen to them talk about the destruction and the pain in Israel for Israelis, in Gaza for Gazans, with the Jewish people, with anti-Semitism, and it's just heavy and hard. So when Mel Robbins suggested trying happy music, I thought, that's an idea I could believe in. And I decided I would try her idea of Motown. Now, as you know, over this past summer, we had a number of heat waves, which inspired me to ask Alexa to play Heat Wave. Not that this is the main point of my Yom Kippur sermon, but there are, in fact, 2 iconic versions of Heat Wave. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas did Heat Wave in 1963. It's terrific. And Linda Ronstadt did Heat Wave in 1975. It's terrific. And before I knew it, I was in a Heat Wave rabbit hole, asking Alexa to play both versions, and voila, I felt better, and I felt happier, and I felt more joyful, and I felt much more upbeat than when I used to listen to the hard, sad podcasts about Israel and Gaza in the 2 years since October 7th. I felt relief. I felt joy. And then I felt guilt. I felt guilt. As I was really up-tempo and so excited listening to Martha Reeves and Linda Ronstadt, I thought, what am I? What kind of person am I? What kind of Jew am I? What kind of rabbi am I? That all of this is going on, and I'm listening to Motown? Guilt. And then a deeper question. Is joy still okay today? Is joy still okay today? Is joy okay when Israel is still at war? Is joy okay when almost 50 hostages are still languishing 2 years later? Is joy okay given all of the suffering of all the people in Israel and in Gaza? Is joy okay with Israel's increasing isolation on the world stage? Is joy okay with the frightening rise of anti-Semitism? See Manchester. Is joy okay given all of the complexity and division and challenges in our own country? So I would sort and fold my laundry, and I would feel this cocktail of relief, joy, and guilt, and I kind of did a tevya. On the one hand, listening to a sad podcast, which makes me sad, helps nobody else anywhere, not in Israel, not in Gaza, not in America. On the other hand, is listening to a happy podcast with all the sorrows of the world, does it make me like Emperor Nero, fiddling while Rome burns? So I just lived with all that complexity cocktail until I started reading our canonical text for the high holidays. And then an old, opaque friend shined a whole new light that I had never seen before. Now, the Torah readings that we read on the holidays are the same year after year, but we're different and our world is different, and so we see things that we never saw before. And suddenly, Genesis 22, the binding of Isaac that we read second day of Rosh Hashanah, spoke so urgently to our dilemma now, and I think at a deep level, it raises this question: what should our soul be? What should our neshama be in a time of ongoing sorrow? After all, at the end of the story, Abraham is told by the angel, don't sacrifice your son. So Isaac is not sacrificed, Isaac lives. And what is the deepest meaning of Isaac is not sacrificed, Isaac lives? Well, Isaac's name in Hebrew is Yitzchak, which means laughter. Laughter could not die on that mountaintop. Laughter lived. Laughter had to live. And in fact, laughter had to live in circumstances that were not happy. Laughter had to live even though Sarah had her infertility. Laughter had to live even though Hagar and Ishmael are banished. Laughter had to live even though Isaac could never unsee his father's knife. Even then, and even with all that, laughter had to live, which means that there must be a Jewish imperative to find joy in circumstances that are the opposite of joyful. There must be a Jewish imperative to find joy in circumstances that are the opposite of joyful, and guess what? That's really useful, because we live now in circumstances that are the opposite of joyful. You know, I know, we know that we live in a complicated, contentious time. We all know that there are a host of issues that divide us about America, about Israel, and about the world. You know, I know, we know that we don't agree. We don't agree. Even generations in the same family, especially generations in the same family, do not agree. And in the face of that, I just wanted to acknowledge the obvious, that our world on this Yom Kippur is in pain. And if there are 600, 700 people here right now, there are 600 or 700 different points of view about what happened and how to fix it, and we still don't agree. And Genesis 22 has a message for each of us, all of us with our own different viewpoints, which is simply this: don't let joy die on that mountaintop. Don't let laughter, die on that mountaintop. Joy and laughter are not frivolous. Joy and laughter are not an escape. Joy and laughter are essential. Are essential if we're going to be in this for the long haul, to pursue our convictions. Now, nobody on planet Earth gets this more and embodies this more than Israel and Israelis. On August 28th, a couple months ago, our nephew Yehuda, who was an Israeli, married his bride, Jackie, American-born, and they got married in Los Angeles. And so many people came, friends and family from both sides, were jubilant about this wonderful couple. Now, Yehuda happens to have a very large, thick, connected Israeli family. He has 53 Israeli relatives, most of them living in Jerusalem. And 52 out of 53 of his relatives traveled from Israel to Los Angeles for his wedding. The only one who couldn't, was his cousin Yonatan, who is a commander of an infantry brigade in Gaza right now, and the IDF won't let him out. But the 52 who could come, all came. And of those 52, 15 have served multiple tours of duty, 2, 3, 4 in the IDF, and they came. And several of them, while they were celebrating this great simcha, were notified by their phone that they are being called up again for yet another tour of Miluim, and when they land, they're not to go home, they're to go to their military base, which happened. Now, my wonderful Israeli nephew, Yehuda, is not a public speaker. He had never given a speech in his life. But at his wedding, in an unexpected time, he gave his first speech. The cantor just sang, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem. And we've all been to Jewish weddings. We know that the next move is the groom shatters the glass, mazel tov, they're married. But after she did this stunning, beautiful rendition of Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, Yehuda took the microphone and gave his first and only and spontaneous speech. And he said, I want to talk to my 15 siblings and cousins who have been serving in the IDF. All of you are married. All of you have spouses. All of you have children. All of you have young children. All of you have jobs that you really love and that you're good at. You're doctors and you're lawyers and you're teachers and you're business people and you're healers. And all you want to do is live your life. All you want to do is spend time with your spouse. All you want to do is raise your cutie pie children. Who wouldn't? All you want to do is go to work and do your job. Who wouldn't? All you want to do is live in your own home. All you want to do is go to sleep in your own bed. All you want to do is wake up in your own bed. And since October 7th, each of the 15 of you have spent more than 200 days not doing that, because you have been serving in the IDF to keep Israel and Israelis alive, even though you would rather be living your own life. And the Chazan just sang, Im eshkachech Yerushalayim, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem. I want to tell you, I will never forget you. And I want to say, under the chuppah, before I shatter the glass, thank you, and I love you. And then he shatters the glass. And then the Israeli contingent danced all night long. Now, here's the thing about the Israeli contingent. All night long means all night long. And I learned something that I never knew before. Apparently, I'm not a Hebrew expert. Apparently, there's no way in modern Hebrew to say bedtime. Or if there is, none of the parents or kids know about this word or concept. It's a very young crowd. I mean, most of the people are in their 30s and 40s. There were about 20, 25 kids who are very young, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at this dancing, the parents who are in their 30s and 40s are holding their kids who are 3 and 4 on their shoulders. Remember, there's no bedtime in the Hebrew language. And they are dancing and dancing and dancing until the children just collapse on a heap, exhausted. They fall asleep on the dance floor. Isaac did not let laughter and joy die on the mountain. And Israelis, don't let laughter and joy die on the mountain. And even with Manchester, and even with, we cannot let laughter die on the mountain. We cannot let joy die on the mountain. We have to insist on joy. We have to insist on laughter. There's no life without laughter and joy. And we have to repair the world. So, we have to listen to 4 voices this year. May we hear the sound of those hard, sad podcasts that keep us connected to the real world as it is. May we hear the sound of upbeat music that's going to keep us happy. May we hear the sound of the shofar that reminds us that we are supposed to redeem the world. And may we hear the sound of laughter and joy, because we need laughter and joy if we're going to be sustained for the long haul, which brings us back to heat wave. The heat wave is not over. The heat wave is ongoing. What joy are you going to find in this year to keep on going to? Gemar Chatima Tova. We rise.